What's up, everybody? Before we kick off this 200th episode, it's fitting to share that near the end of this conversation, my fellow hosts discovered that I had just discovered Chuck Norris jokes. Little did we know, 2 days after we recorded this episode, the man himself, Chuck Norris, passed away at the age of 86. So rest in peace, sir. And listeners, always remember, Chuck Norris counted to infinity twice. All right, thanks for listening and for celebrating this 200th episode with us. All right, Tomelex, tell our listeners how you graduated into Mount Pleasant status.
Whoa. I see the light. I don't know what you talking about.
You don't want to share with our listeners?
Bro. Lynne, get your boy. Get your mans.
That's offensive, Joey.
How is that offensive?
I'm not.
That's another thing we're going to talk about. You guys are just bringing up subjects that we're going to be talking about today.
Not me. You ain't going to have me talking to Jenna. No, sir, Bob.
I don't like it when cashiers ask me how my day is, because my first thought is, you don't, like, what business is that of yours? We don't know each other. And I know that's a very atypical reaction, but it's just like, we're strangers.
I personally think it's a miss for society. I think it can be on equal footing as celebrating different people from different backgrounds. And I think that there's some racial jokes that were fun, lighthearted, and we should be able to be mature enough to bring back.
It's not politically correct.
Acceptable.
Right.
Yeah.
And but again, it goes back to people, are they not saying it because they don't think it's funny, or are they not trying to be canceled?
And to all of our fellow listeners in the great city of Mount Pleasant, I just want to say that you were right. I will humble myself and say that my Uwala is absolutely amazing. My water intake has gone up 85%. And due to my amazing uncloud shoes, my back problems are getting better. So thank you so much for your recommendations. We love you.
Well, welcome, listeners. We're here with Tomelex, Jack, and Lynne, and myself. If you're watching, you already know that. Thank you, patrons who are watching live, for supporting the good work that Jim Wright is doing and that we support, bringing hope to folks in prisons. And this is the 200th episode.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Wow.
200.
Jack, 200.
That's more than 100. Double, if my math is right. But I'm the wrong Jack Hoy for that.
You're what?
I'm the wrong Jack Hoy for math. You want the other Jack Hoy. You want my dad.
Whatever, man. You're above average with math, too.
Oh, no. I'm proudly average. The day that I tested out of having to take any math in college was the pinnacle of my academic career.
Interesting.
I was so happy.
Well, we're going to do a bunch of stuff that we normally do. We're going to laugh and cut up, maybe argue some. And I've got way more to talk about than what we're going to be able to get to. But for right now, let me ask you, Jack, how's your walk?
Man.
Let me ask. All right. So I think the vast majority of our listeners knows what that Christianese phrase means. But if you don't, what I asked him was not how good he's doing at walking, but how's his spiritual walk. I want to ask all three of you that. Is there ever a time when you're comfortable with that question? Somebody just asking, like a dear friend? Because I've had strangers who have known that I'm a pastor ask me that, like at a 5-year-old kid's birthday party.
I feel like that's a stranger question. Like if somebody knows you, they see your in and outs. And so when I'm off, or when I'm like, cranky, or I'm not being kind, my friends are like, what's going on with you? They don't need to be like, how's your walk? They're like...
So that's a stranger question.
It is.
Yeah, it is. No, I was thinking the same thing. At first I was like, well, it depends on who asked me. But then my immediate next thought was, but if anyone who knows me asked me, that would be the weirdest, weirdest thing to ask.
I don't think so.
No?
No. Only because in my position, I'm going to always be upbeat and happy.
Mm-hmm.
But when I hear, how's your walk? Like, how are you? Like, what spiritual attacks are you currently having? It? Because, like, when you ask me that question right now, I'd be like, bro, it's tough in my current season of life, my walk with God. because I know what I want to do and I know what I have to do, and they are not the same. Like, I'm in a season of life right now where it is hard for me to grasp that the same grace that God showed the nanny who dropped Mephibosheth is the same grace that God is showing. The same grace that God showed Peter is the same grace that God showed Judas. Because if you're Peter or Mephibosheth's nanny, you don't like it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have Judas's in my life right now that I have to show grace to because I require that. And sometimes that's easy, but sometimes it is not. And right now, it is not.
Mm. You just kicked off a topic for a whole new episode. I love it.
I'm just saying.
And so you're even fine with that terminology too, because
I get it.
Well, yeah, because if I really wanted to know, I think how I would ask, instead of saying how's your walk, I would say, hey man, how are you doing? And I would be like, and I'm really like, that's not a greeting. I'm asking you, how are you doing? Because you and I both know that our life is consumed by God or seeking God or God's silence or God, we're both brothers in the Lord. So I think that would almost like you and I would both know that question involves God. But you're fine with that terminology. How's your walk?
I mean, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
All right. Well, you also talked about getting old and having a 1-year-old, and I want to talk about that another time because that was some funny stuff. But y'all, I stay in pretty good shape, working out and jogging. What'd you say?
I mean,
but I haven't played pickup basketball in a good little while, and there's a gym at right around the corner where I live that has open hours, 12:30 to 3:30 on Saturdays. And so I took my son and I played ball with a bunch of middle schoolers and high schoolers. And y'all, when I started, I almost could hear my knees saying, you really want to do this? And I came, I after it was all said and done, I told someone, I was like, at least I know now, like, my time is up doing this kind of stuff. Like, I told my son, I was like, look, I have the cardio for this, but I do not have the body. Like, it is insane. My knees, like, still hurt right now. I threw my shoulder out somehow. It's a little better now. My wrist was swollen because I jumped up for a rebound and someone, like, moved my hand back. But it is so crazy getting old. And it's like, oh, pick up games of basketball. That's a thing of my past. 2020, someone gifted us with, it was their step-grandmother that gifted the kids with a trampoline. I went out there. This is 6 years ago. I was like, oh, I can't do trampolines anymore. Because when I was jumping, I bent my knees the other way. And I was like, no more trampolines. It's so weird. Like, you can't do stuff anymore.
We used to get, whenever the boys would have a birthday, we'd get like a bounce house in the backyard for a couple of days. And one of the first times we got it, I don't know, like 2018, 2019, I was like, all right, like, they were, obviously much, much littler then. I was all right, guys, like, I'm going to show you, like, they're just bouncing. Like, you guys should do a front flip in here. It's easy. Like, I don't understand how you do it. So I showed them, and when I landed, I was like, all right, everyone's got to leave Daddy alone for a minute. The world's got to stop. I hadn't done that in a long time, and my inner ear was like, you will never do that to us again.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the worst.
I mean, it's literally at my age, I'm recognizing now, it's just too much risk. Like, it's like I could rip something and then have to have surgery and then be on crutches for a long time. You work out tons, but are there certain types of activities that you've kind of been like, because you're a good bit younger than me too.
How old are you?
I'll be 49 in the summer.
Okay, I mean, not that much. I'm only 6 years younger than you.
I mean, at this age, that's a big difference.
Great. Oh, great.
It's like you don't know yet, but that's a lot.
Right. Yeah. Fast forward 6 years. Tell me how much of an age difference we have.
I do a lot of different kinds of stuff, and so it's more just I just pay attention to, like, if something starts hurting, I'll back way off. But I, like Laura and I, we do a Spartan race once a year, and we do the Asheville one in August. And I did that. I don't really do races. I will do races if Laura wants me to go do them with her, because I just, like, why I would pay to do something with other people that I can do by myself for free it's never made a ton of sense to me. But she's kind of like, oh, I don't want to do this alone. I'm like, okay, I'll do it with you. And so we did our first Spartan, I think 4 years ago, and I actually really liked it. And I just turned 40, and so I was like, okay, like, I'd kind of like having some sense of where I am compared to all of these other people. And like, people who do Spartans are all over the place. Like, there are people who are insane, like athletes, like this is all they do. And then there are people who just want to go have fun, and they're, not in great shape, but they just want to go try it. And so it's like because I was worried when we got there, it was going to be all the first group, like all just crazy in shape, athletes. But it's a real mix. And so I really enjoyed it. So we've gone back every year. But like, talking about age, I don't even look. And so you wear, you've got kind of a fob that you wear, and so you're timed, and they've got information, so you're measured against your age group and all that stuff. And I don't even look at the under 30s. Like, I can't, because it's just like a different kind of person running. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm perfectly happy looking at my own age group. But I do like when I beat, like the college students that I'm, like around, but, looking at the final times, just like, I don't even understand how they're doing this. But
all right, y'all be honest with me. I can take it. When I told y'all that I did a pickup game of basketball, were y'all like, what were you thinking? You're 49 years old.
I didn't think that until you said with middle and high schoolers.
Yeah.
Right. See, that's what you want. Dude, I coach basketball at PCA.
I mean, for the record, girls. I kind of balled out. I just paid a price for it.
I know better than to run with them little yahoos. No, sir. You could have got away with the middle schoolers just because. But when you said high school, you lost me. I'm like,
how about y'all?
Sir.
Are there certain things? I think I have you by about 3 years. I've got you by, how old are you?
I'll be 45 on Saturday.
Okay. Are there certain things that y'all have been like, yeah, just can't do that anymore?
Yeah.
Well, and I'm learning that a lot of it is how I schedule things. And so even like when I'm working out, like what I can do after certain, like I can't do the same types of workouts 6 days a week. And so I'm even learning, like, when I travel, and the last few times I've traveled, I like have a 7 a.m. workout class, and I will think I'm going to get back Sunday night, and Monday morning I'll wake up and I'm like, I just need to recover from, my body just does not bounce back from just traveling. So that's the biggest change for me, is to learn, just managing my energy levels throughout the week when I do things is a lot different.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right. Well, here's what we're going to do for the rest of our time, unless we can get through it in a quicker time than I'm anticipating. Then I've got some more fun stuff, but I've got 10 of some of the most memorable moments of the last 100 episodes. There's too many to recount.
Just 100, not 199.
What's that?
Just 100.
The last one. Oh, wait, you threw me. What?
Was this episode 200?
Oh, yeah. That's right. So maybe I'll pick a favorite moment of this recording.
No, she's...
He doesn't get it. Move on. All right. We're listening. Sorry. I didn't mean to derail you.
It shouldn't have derailed him.
Wait. All right. This can be an outtake. What are you guys talking about?
You said the last 100 episodes, but this is 200. So the last 199 episodes.
So, did you only picked moments from the last 100, but not the first 100?
Okay. I got you.
No, I'm asking.
I read you. No, it was literally 101 to 199.
Why?
So 99 episodes.
I'm just curious.
Well, because the 100th episode.
We did it before.
We did a 100th episode.
Got you.
There you go. There you go.
Right.
All right. So one of my favorite moments is episode 167, when Nick Johnson told us that you were there, his first time at First Wednesday, he thought it was a mistake that they had played so many worship songs. He sat there and he thought, they must have made a mistake. This is too many songs. I thought that was beautiful. I just thought it was the funniest thing. Jack, I do want to ask you this as a friend of yours. How do you, because you've talked about this a little bit, how do you engage in worship? I know you have a deep appreciation for being there with brothers and sisters, but would you say you are ever emotionally or spiritually moved in those sorts of environments?
I will say real quick. So when my family started coming to Seacoast in 1994, and the second service they ever went to was a First Wednesday. First Wednesday now is not what First Wednesday used to be like. Stuff would happen at the old First Wednesdays. Like there might be someone might get a word, everything would stop. Like it was, much more.
Probably like a traditional Pentecostal service.
It really was. And my parents were like, "These people are freaks. We don't know that we can come back here." And so but yes. So the primary part of me that engages is my mind. And so and I think that's one of the challenges I have is if my mind isn't engaged, it's hard for me not to just think about other stuff. And so I have to be intentional, but yeah, I do. It just depends. And it depends, I think sometimes so I'll give you an example. I had, this is about a year ago, was in worship, and got a text. I'm part of a text group with about 10 other guys. We all went to college together. And, one of my best friends texted, it was in the middle of service that his wife's cancer had come back. And, and kind of that same day, someone on my team had announced that they were pregnant. And like the juxtaposition of those two things, and then the song we were singing, it's the song that said, like, it's got the line, one of the last lines is, Jesus, the first and final king, reigns always. And I'm in the service and I'm thinking about all of these things that are happening. And, my thought was just like, does he? And it's like, so for whatever reason, that song they hear a lot. It was particularly engaging in that moment because of the things that I was dealing with and the things I was thinking about. And it made me think about that song and made me think about what I believe. So the short answer is yes. It's not easy for me. I used to think when I was in college something was like kind of wrong with me because I would see all of my friends and they'd just be able to like flip a switch and like go, hands up and immediately go into it. And I couldn't decide if there was something wrong with me or if they were all shallow. Like those are sort of like the options I had. It was like, I don't understand. Like, how do you just turn that on? That doesn't seem like that's a real thing. And so anyway, it is harder for me.
I wonder if, because I've walked through so much cynicism, and I think now I'm on the opposite side. It's like, I don't know anybody's heart, so what's the point? But I could see people saying, I'm going to make a decision to worship right now.
Right.
I may not feel like it, but I'm going to enter in and we'll see what happens. Rather than flipping a switch and being superficial, I'm deciding. Now, I do think there are some people, there's a lot of people. So I do think there's some people who are probably superficial and maybe even doing it for show. Again, I don't even concern myself with that. But I could see the flip being switched is just a decision. I'm going to worship right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, like when I was, 20, it was sort of like if they're right, then I must be wrong sort of thing, right? Like when you're that age, it's like, I don't know, you haven't been around long enough to, like, you don't know enough people, you don't know enough stories to realize, like, oh, there's nuance. And, it's not all this, like, either or, stuff necessarily, and everyone's just trying to figure it out. So yeah, like I completely agree. It's like I don't judge anyone in that in that setting, especially the people who are like they've got stuff going on, but they really want to worship, and so they're trying. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, that's more real than, me on a bad day with my arms crossed being like, well, this song sucks. I'm not going to, I think that's, God's probably much happier with them than he is with me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. So second memorable moment, it may not ever see the light of day because it was very recent and it was the worst I don't know if you were there or not. These two for sure. The worst racial blunder that I've ever made. One of them made the airwaves. But Jack, I literally had a icebreaker and basically was talking about all the technology in 2026 and how you didn't have that a long time ago, but life was a lot more simpler back then. And I asked the three people that were here, including Tomelex and Lynne, if you could choose to live in 2026 with all the technical, luxuries and everything, or go back 200 years. And they both are looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, why is that such a bad question?
That was one of your favorite moments in the last.
I said memorable. I didn't say favorite. I said memorable because I felt
really
this.
I actually didn't even know where you were going.
Small.
Which
I knew where he was going.
It was like, the worst ever.
Which one is Joey talking about?
It was the worst ever. All right.
No, the worst ever yet.
Yeah. Yes. Of course, there's more room for horrible blunders, for sure. Thank you, Jack, for that reminder.
You're welcome.
So 100 years into the future, just kind of speculate what that would look like. Would you rather live in 2126 or the 1600s?
2126.
Bruh, you can't ask black people that. What kind of... That's just not smart, Joey. What the world, bro?
I'm sorry, it was a blunder.
Next question. Oh my God.
And there's no way I can say, well, slavery aside.
Yeah.
I'll choose the time where eyes of people be free.
Bree, will you make this decision? I hope Lynne doesn't make us edit any of this out.
Oh God, I cannot.
I don't know how to recover this.
It may not be recoverable.
I don't think so.
Joey questions, ladies and gentlemen.
And this has been an episode of Silly Things Said by Joey. Oh boy.
So we did a guest spot on the podcast, or a podcast guest spot. So we played an episode of Chip Judd's Mental Health and Mission of the Church, and it was basically him telling his story of getting new lungs, and it was kind of his first time to speak after going through all that. So that was a very touching moment for many of us. This is going way back, but it was episode 109. So this is number 4. Was your response to watching the first episode of the Mary Tyler Moore Show?
Oh my goodness.
So
he did a What Women Think episode.
Was that a part of that?
It was me, Natasha, and Katie Walters. And ahead of the episode, you asked us to watch the Mary
First
Tyler
episode of
Moore
Mary Tyler Moore
show. And we were all like, what?
Here's what's crazy
Joey.
is I'm not a TV binger. Maybe I'll do that in the future, but I have been going through the Mary Tyler Moore episodes very periodically because it kind of relaxes me at night. Listen, this is very interesting culture. Listen to this.
Don't point at me.
So
I don't know what you're doing.
So the first season, the one that Lynne actually watched, in the theme song, it says, you might just make it after all. This is a single woman in the workforce. The song is You Might Make It. The very next season, it says you're going to make it after all. But I will say, if you watch it in context to the mid 70s, it is way ahead of its time as far, and I did some research as far as like in what ways, and the respect that she has amongst her male co-workers, the friendships that she has with them that's not romantic and it's not insulting from them to her. That was all breaking new territory back in the day. The main woman character was not a homemaker, raising kids and making meals and all that, but we have come a very long way. And it made me think of a question that I wanted to ask you guys. So we've buttoned up some things culturally in good ways, I believe, as far as more respect for women, different types of people, different races. But my question to you guys is, as we've done that, have we also lost our ability to joke well? Or better yet, hearing the heart behind a joke. And y'all, I was going to actually bring some examples to the table, but I was like, nah,
you did not.
Not going to do that.
Joey's growing.
Wow.
I'm growing.
It took 200 episodes.
No, listen. Here's the examples I was going to bring was...
No, what are you doing?
I'm not going to give the examples. No, I'm not going to give the examples. Well, but I think that there are certain types of racial jokes that we're missing, and it was fun. It was not... and I was going to bring some examples of those. That's what I'm not going to do. But it was not some of the jokes that we're missing in society. It's not mean. It's not looking down at another race. It's bringing stereotypes of white people or black people or Asian people that may not even be accurate, but we all think it's funny, and it's not slander. And it's like, now we can't even do that. And I personally think it's a miss for society. I think it can be on equal footing as celebrating different people from different backgrounds. And I think that there's some racial jokes that were fun, lighthearted, and we should be able to be mature enough to bring back. But anyway, first question, do you think we've lost our ability to joke well with all these corrections that we've made in society?
I do believe we created a society of sensitive people.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's what I believe. Joke well. As someone who has told a bad joke recently, anytime you say something and you offend somebody, if it's funny to 99 and not the one, it's not funny.
I can take that. Yep.
Like that's where I'm landing.
So I'll give you an example that I have nothing to do with. So the last time I played pickup basketball was Waylon's birthday party. So back in August. Pickup game, those new courts right under the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a few African-American teenagers, and we brought them into the game. And then there was an Asian kid that joined, and the African-American guys just immediately gave me a nickname making fun of my age. I thought it was hilarious, and gave the Asian kid a nickname basically like, a name that's very stereotypical of Asian people, but they weren't mean about it. They were having fun. It was like a collective of, man, this is great. We're having fun. And most people would have been like, how dare you give that Asian kid a nickname? Where I'm thinking, that was their way of saying we're accepting everybody and we're just having fun. That's the sort of thing that I just think is kind of missing from society. Why would that be offensive? So, for example, we started this episode off with, before we hit record, you said something to the effect how you graduated into Mount Pleasant status with a couple of purchases that you made and an activity that Lynne pointed out that you're doing with Champ. And then when I asked you, tell us that at the beginning, you would not go there. I don't blame you, but there's something wrong with that, I kind of think. Well, that wasn't you weren't being mean to white people. You weren't being slanderous to white people.
100%. But again, because of things that I have experienced, anytime, especially when your words hold weight,
mm-hmm.
you say anything that can be offensive to anyone, especially when it represents the brand and Jesus, I just don't say it.
Yeah.
I cannot. I cannot.
Mm-hmm. Another example of this is Pastor Joel Delph taught recently and had a part in his message where he talked about white people stuff, and and it was all funny and it was all very lighthearted, but I also think it was strategic on his part to bring Kelly up there to actually say what she refers to white people stuff, basically crazy stuff that white people do, that you and I have joked around about. Like, I think you've said, why do white people put themselves in danger or go camping when they have their own daggum house sort of thing. But what about you guys? What do y'all think as far as the whole buttoned up society? Everybody gets offended, and are we missing out on some stuff that was harmless and fun?
I think it's a nuanced conversation because even like what we were laughing about before we went on air, I think there are things that people who know each other and are friends in a relationship can say and know that it's not going to be offensive. That when you get into a broader audience, you don't know that, and you do steward the influence that you have with people. Also, just from growing up and experiencing being bullied or experiencing watching other people, just because someone says something and they think it's funny doesn't mean that the other person does.
Sure.
And you just don't know that. And so there's always camaraderie, like playing basketball on the team. There's a different camaraderie there than there is. But when a new person comes in, you don't get to it feels hard because that person doesn't get to choose. Like if you start making a joke and you're like, oh, this is funny, and we all think it's funny. Who's we all think it's funny? Even to say everybody thinks it's funny, nobody's getting offended. It's not slander. Slander is subjective to who it is. And so I don't think that there's a hard line of like, okay, these are the things that are slanderous and these are the things that aren't, and these are the things that are going to offend. And I do think we're hypersensitive. But I also think it like relationship matters. And you can laugh and have fun and camaraderie. If you like when you know someone, but I wouldn't say that, I don't know. I just wouldn't say that everything that people think is funny is funny.
Sure. So as a whole, you would say society has progressed in this regard, as far as being very careful with how we joke around and the sorts of things that we say?
To a certain extent, because you still hear stuff. I mean, like, it depends on where you're listening of, like, where the jokes are still happening.
Well, just the fact that it's not societally...
It's not politically correct.
Acceptable, yeah.
Right. But again, it goes back to people, are they not saying it because they don't think it's funny, or are they not trying to be canceled?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So all the jokes are still there. It's just people don't necessarily share them. So I think...
I don't know about that.
No, they're all still there. And it's the easiest thing in the world to go on social media and find people making, like videos about like racial generalizations that are like not mean-spirited at all, that are actually really funny. And I mean, like one of I'll say like I think a great video. There's a video on, it's not hard to find, of like a couple of like black teenage boys doing like stuff that like white people say when you meet them in the woods. It's the funniest thing. And it's like, I think when there is a joke about you, whether it's what you look like or who you are or whatever, if you see yourself in it, it's sort of a little bit delightful. Like, that's funny. That's great. If it's mean-spirited, well, like, that's a different thing. I think it's kind of part of the thing we're talking about is if that pickup basketball game, right? Like, if that one, kid had gotten ticked off and didn't like the nickname, so, well, it's a different situation. But boys, like, ragging on each other, I mean, that's eternal. That's never going away. That's a way that guys, show affection, is like, if we got to tiptoe around you, you're not really part of the friend group in the same way. And I'm just from guys.
Yeah, but you can't even say that, because I have made a statement to a person that I had thought we have done life together. Like, I'm helping this person get their nephew into housing because they didn't have a place to go. The niece had a baby, and I'm helping find stuff. Like we're legit doing life together. Like life outside of church life. And you make a joke that you think's funny, and then the next thing you know, you find out that it's not. And then you sit there and you say, oh my God, I hurt this person's feelings. So, I'm just super, super cautious, man.
Yeah.
Like,
what gave me pause for thought is when you said the jokes are still there. I will say personally, and I have early in adulthood, I've recognized the prejudice that I had that isn't the sort of surfacey, oh, you're a racist prejudice person, or just what I think is pretty natural to humanity sort of prejudice. And it was a rude awakening when I started, realizing this stuff, and then needed people to, help walk me through and everything. But I will say for sure that even though I had Black friends all through elementary, middle, high school, if I was around my white friends, we would joke around in ways that I am currently uncomfortable with joking. And it's not because of any cancellation, because I'm with good friends. It's because I don't like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I do think that that's a general. It's almost like culture has educated itself to where we're like, yeah, that's just not cool, Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does, but everyone grows and matures. Like the stuff that I thought was funny 20 years ago, I wouldn't necessarily think is funny now. Like part of the thing we're talking, I feel like there, like Lynne said, there's so much nuance because there's definitely a cultural component that I think is unhealthy, which is that we're all terrified of saying the wrong thing. And I don't think that's healthy because, you should be able to speak, your mind without fear that it's going to upend your entire life. Even if you have to say, hey, look, I messed up. I screwed up. I shouldn't have said that and I'm really sorry. Right. But like the sort of, latent fear of being wrong in a way that could ruin your life, I think is really destructive. Because I think what a lot is, it just kind of breeds this resentment, right? Among everybody. But the other thing is context matters. Like what you're saying, T, about if it's funny to 99 but not 1, that's not funny. It's like I agree with that. And then there's also a sense in which if you go to a comedy show and get offended, it's like, well, who cares? Like you knew what you were going to, and that's a situation where it's like, okay, there's kind of an exception to it's just with humor is it's not funny in the sense of humor is so complicated because it's almost like humor is both universal and individual at the same time. And I have shown Laura stuff that I thought she is going to think this is amazing. And she was sort of like, well, I don't understand why you showed me that. I don't even understand what this is. And then there'll be something where I'm like, I don't think she's going to like this. And she will talk about it for weeks. And I've known Laura since I was 16 and she was 15. And I still have moments where I am not quite sure how this is going to land with you. And you hate to say you have to be careful with humor because it feels like it take the fun out of it, but you do because you care about people, right? You can ask any comic, Ricky Gervais will say this, all the comics will say this is they never actually want to hurt anybody. Even the guys who are kind of famous for being rude and edgy, they will say, I don't want to hurt anybody. And if I realize that I've actually hurt someone, that really upsets them. That's not what they actually want to do. And so it's if they don't want to do it, then, we probably shouldn't either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just so people know what we were talking about earlier, it's on clouds and Owalas. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy at all. We were talking about shoes and a water bottle.
So you didn't buy a house on Daniel Island?
With what money?
You're right.
I literally got hacked this morning and was talking to the bank today.
That's not cool, man.
Yep, no. Joke's on them. I just made my car payment, so I was broke anyway. They were just practicing.
All right, episode 140. This is number 5. We're on number 5 here. Episode 143, Pastor Greg talking about grief surrounding the untimely loss of his brother. I just thought it was a tender moment for him to be willing to do that because he was in the middle of his grief. And I think that speaks volumes of his leadership to put himself out there in a very, very raw, as he was in a very raw place. So in the summer 2025, we had a summer series, and Lynne already knows this, but let me ask you guys. So here are the subjects that we addressed, and I want y'all to tell me what are by far the two most downloaded ones. We talked about summer stuff in general, manhood, tragedy, alcohol, artificial intelligence, bathing suits and modesty, reptiles, video games, and safety. What two were by far the two highest downloaded?
Bathing suits and modesty. And you say, go over the list one more time.
Summer, manhood, tragedy, alcohol, AI, bathing suits, modesty, reptiles, video games, safety.
Alcohol.
So I was going to say manhood and alcohol, but I might switch from manhood to bathing suits. So bathing suits and alcohol.
Y'all nailed it. Bathing suits, modesty, and then alcohol. There were 3 episodes in which...
Now, hold on. To be clear, those are not the ones I would personally download. I would choose other ones.
I think we know that. Duh. So 3 what I call unexpected turns. Just that's one of my favorite thing about podcasting is when the conversation just goes a certain direction or gets deep in a place where I didn't expect it to, and it's either pulls emotions out or a lot of laughter. So there's 2 lighthearted ones and then one more serious. But number 7 was Roy's dog show education.
That was fun.
It was a Thanksgiving episode, and not one of us knew anything. Or I'm not speaking for Lynne and Tomelex, but I knew nothing about those little doggies. I thought it was a show that like show and tell. Yeah, here's my doggie.
The Westminster Dog Show.
His name is Ralphie, and we're going to walk around. Y'all saw my dog. That's all I thought it was. And so Roy really educated us. Do you watch those? Do you watch the dog show?
No, I feel like Laura,
right, cool.
Laura likes it, but we always miss it on Thanksgiving. So don't cut me off, Joey. That's so rude.
Obviously, maybe the most classic comedy time in these episodes, comic relief, was T's education about polar bears. Oh my gosh. I think they're the most ferocious bears.
They are.
Grizzlies.
I think polar bears.
You think of polar bears more ferocious?
Just science.
Oh, yeah.
Just science. I would imagine grizzlies too, but I'm pretty sure polar
It
bears.
is not even close.
Really?
Not close.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Zoologist. Wow.
First of all, listen.
Do we have stats on how many people have been killed by a polar bear versus a grizzly?
Well, I would say way less because of where polar bears live.
Yeah, like if you see a polar bear, you just need to start talking to Jesus. Like you don't survive that.
But then you're not gonna. This house is not gonna be in the place where the polar bear is.
More aggressive.
Oh,
Polar or
just type in most aggressive bear.
grizzly.
You ain't even got to be specific. They like OD.
Polar bears are considered more aggressive and dangerous due to their diet of exclusive meat and their tendency to actively hunt humans for food.
They actively hunt humans for
In
food?
contrast, grizzly bears are typically aggressive when they feel threatened, are protecting their cubs, or are defending
He was
pet
right
food.
all
I don't know why
along.
y'all don't want to believe me.
What?
While grizzlies can
Who
be
would
just...
believe that polar bears
I know, they look so
actively
cute
hunt?
on Coke commercials, man.
Ew.
I would believe it because I know.
He said it,
I be
yeah.
watching. Listen, I
They
love.
actively hunt humans?
Wait,
I love that
That is
graphic.
wild.
It's regurgitating the same information, but I just want to finish this reading. While grizzlies can be just as dangerous, polar bears are more likely to attack and kill humans as they view them as a potential meal.
Try to tell you, you a pork
So
chop out there in the
grizzly
street.
is just attacking you. The polar bear is eating you.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Meal.
Meal, pork chop.
Bear
You
snack.
are Thanksgiving dinner.
Those Coke commercials are not
I'll never
accurate.
see
They
them
are
the same
not
way
factual.
again after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just a delight. There's certain parts of the world, I think, in where polar bears are, you are basically told leave your car unlocked when you're not there so people can get in your car if they see a polar bear. My question to you is, living in Charleston, South Carolina, do you have any wildlife fears pertaining to these parts?
Alligators.
Alligators?
I just moved and I now have a pond in the back of my house, and I don't even have a privacy fence. We have one of those little cute white picket fences. Yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Do y'all have any animal fears? Like animals that are around here?
I mean, I don't want to run into a coyote, but I don't know if I...
But would it, I don't even know. Well, I'll ask Tomelex. Would a coyote attack her?
Not singular.
But they run in packs.
Pack
Have you heard them at night?
Yeah. I think there's only been one person in North America on record that's been killed by a coyote. So your chances are pretty good. I did actually see, this is about a month ago, I saw a coyote at the corner of 750. Just out there chilling on the corner.
Really?
Never walking
Well,
across
because
the
I
street
drove
by
past, I'm
myself
like,
again.
that is, at first, like, is that a wolf? I said, it's not quite big enough for a wolf. I'm like, oh, it's a coyote. So right at the corner of the church property.
She'd be more likely to get attacked by like a bobcat than a coyote.
Yeah, a coyote's not going to mess with a person.
Yeah.
Do we have bobcats here?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're around. They're just like a big cat. I've read that a bobcat, you can intimidate it very easily. Because we're talking, it's like a big pet cat. They're not that big.
All right, T, give us the facts about the bobcat.
The fact is he's wrong. That's the fact. It is not like a house cat. You ain't gonna be just sitting there running up on a bobcat
It's
like
an
it's
overgrown
Garfield.
cat.
I love that you said intimidate, though. Like, talk tough to it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm packing.
I mean,
It's like,
I've been chased by wild dogs before, and I had to turn around and kick the lead dog in the face. I'm not afraid of a bobcat. The bobcat's smaller than those dogs. Anyway, moving on. So now number 9, episode 181, the more serious, unexpected turn was the forgiveness episode. And you really opened up about some deep stuff. And I think Roy and I were just sitting there like, why did we even share what was hard for us to forgive when Lynne just opened up about what she shared?
I can't even remember his name. I remember him coming to the hospital, and I remember him talking to my dad. I wouldn't go near him. And I remember seeing him at the funeral, but I was so angry. I blamed him. Absolutely. I was like, if you had called 911 sooner, my brother would be alive. Absolutely. So.
Well, dang, my situation doesn't matter
anymore. Somebody said something mean about me.
right. Gosh, Lynne. Dang.
That's.
If y'all haven't listened to that, y'all need to listen to it. I mean, that was in real time.
Yeah, it was
that you were
literally
unpacking.
within that week.
Yeah, unforgiveness surrounding your late brother's friend. And then that whole episode just talking about forgiveness and our guest. And then, for me personally, a number 10 is, and I want to get into y'all's comfort level with sharing on the podcast. Lynne obviously demonstrated that with a real struggle that she was going through with the forgiveness episode. But, I had a episode in 164 where I had talked about my dad, and it was very close to his passing. And I would say it's kind of therapeutic. But I think for me, having podcasted for over 10 years now, I've always felt, and it's not the style of every podcast. Some podcasts are instructional and very much so on a particular subject. But I think the type of podcasting I do, anytime we're willing to talk about pain and tough times, it's a good thing because it's something that's common for humanity. Bad times. I'm always reminded of 1 Peter 5:9. Stand firm in the faith, knowing that their fellow believers throughout the world are undergoing the exact same kind of sufferings. Of course, that sort of sharing is interesting content, I guess, but it isn't for theatrics for me. I really do feel like there's a lot of hurting people, and the four of us are sometimes those hurting people. And so when people can hear others unpack in real time, I just think it can be encouraging. But this may not be something that y'all have thought about in articulating, but I'm curious, how do you navigate and determine what you will and won't share personally in something like this with podcasting? Does it just boil down to a personal comfort level? Because y'all are smart people, and I know there's got to be times where you're thinking in real time, no, I'm not going to share that. I was about to, but I'm not going to. That's had to have happened with you guys sometimes.
I don't know if it boils down to a comfort level, because I feel like there are sometimes I share things that I'm not necessarily comfortable with. But even with that forgiveness episode example happening real time, there were too many things that the Lord was highlighting and that were happening in my life that he was highlighting forgiveness. So when you, like, the day after something happens and then you message me and say, hey, we're doing this, it felt like that was a setup from the Lord.
Yeah.
And so in that instance, I don't know that's something that I would have just gone out and shared with everybody. I'd processed it with my friends. I don't know that I would have intentionally shared that, but because of that process, it just seemed like it was something that the Lord wanted me to do. So I don't know that I would say it's a comfort level, but I guess I just take it on a case by case basis.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I have, in my years of being a campus pastor, I learned early on that, and this is just how I use these words to organize in my head, but I feel like transparency is something that I want to always try to have in all times, in all places, and all, for lack of better words, platforms. Transparency is just more of an openness to who I am, and the person that you see is also the same person behind the scenes. But there's a difference for me between transparency and vulnerability. Vulnerable sharing, I feel like you're putting yourself out there in a way where you're trusting people who don't care about you. If it's a public forum, you can't control who's hearing what you're saying, and you're entrusting that information to people that could use it and cause harm. And so I think that's what I think through is, am I sharing something that could be in the hands of the wrong people? But I know that there's a risk with transparency as well in that regard. But I guess for me, there's like this line that I can just sense where I'm not going to cross this. If people want to take my transparency and run with it in an unfair direction, by all means. So maybe vulnerability would be openness about, and I'm just, thinking off the top of my head, maybe being open about a current struggle that is a very sensitive issue in real time, that's kind of nobody else's business other than close friends. I don't know, but how do y'all think this through, T and Jack? And I'll say this, that part of why you guys are sitting here and the rest of the hosts, I really want people podcasting with me and me podcasting with them who are willing to be open and aren't super closed off and like, oh, I'm a private person. That just doesn't make good for podcasting.
And why am I here?
I feel like you...
I'm not sure you know me at all.
Well, I do feel like you probably are a little more open than what you imagine. In other words, let me rephrase that. You're not sitting here super concerned all the time, and maybe there's a part of you that is, but you don't carry yourself that way. You're not super concerned about how people are going to perceive you based on what you're sharing, or at least it doesn't come across that way.
Not necessarily. I actually care very much, actually, for the reason we were talking about before, because I whenever I express myself, I want to keep in mind who's going to hear this, because the last thing I want is to say something that for me is just expressing a thought or a question or whatever, and realize, oh wait, that's actually insensitive or hurtful to someone, right? Because that happens sometimes. Or it's like, oh, and anyway, no, in general, I am very compartmentalized, and I don't really like sharing, and I don't really let people in. And so when I'm in it, when I come to do a podcast, that's a setting where I know I'm going to talk, and so I sort of have a posture of openness. But even then, there are things I would never, ever, ever, ever talk about, and those are probably things that most people would be fine talking about. I don't like it when cashiers ask me how my day is, because my first thought is, you don't, like, what business is that of yours? I We don't know each other. And I know that's a very atypical reaction, but it's just like, we're strangers. You're bringing my groceries up. This is the entirety of our relationship. And so I'm better at making small talk now, but I still sort of I have a instinctive resentment of anyone trying to do what I feel like is pressing in if I don't feel like they are someone that has that kind of credibility with me. And so I'll give an example that I think is probably uncommon. So after Darren died years ago, one thing is that, because it was middle of COVID, we're not seeing each other in person, we're all just home. And so one of the things that Pastor Josh did is he brought, do you remember when Dr. Henry Cloud came and he kind of talked to the staff? Do you remember that call? Then he kind of talked to the staff just about grief. Now, that was a good thing that Pastor Josh did. I was sort of furious. And because my thing is, and to be fair, like, I've talked to this before on the podcast where I felt like I was going through this whole thing myself where I realized, Darren was a friend that I didn't really know that I had because I was so professional, and I realized, anyway, there's a whole lot there. And so I felt like I was grieving something, and then there's this stranger coming to talk to me, and that made me furious. And I know he's talking to the whole team. Like, I know that. And I know that I don't really have any reason to be angry, but it felt like an intrusion. Like, you have no business being a part of this. And I had to put like the whole call on mute because I was just getting angrier and angrier. And so for me, it really is a posture of who is like the thing you started to do, like how's your walk? A stranger asking you that is likely to produce immediate mild resentment. And intellectually, I know they're just trying to make small talk, or maybe they just care and they want to ask. But any attempt to push in by someone that I have not given permission to do that produces like immediate resentment.
So, and I'm only asking this because we tell people to go out and make disciples. And one of the things that I tell Malia is you have a ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Your school is your ministry. Job is your ministry. Like, wherever you walk is your ministry. So when you go to Plato's and she says, how is your day? She's saying it with the intentions of, you can be like, great. Or you can be like, man, it's really rough. And you're going to leave and she's going to pray for you.
Mm-hmm.
What if the girl at the grocery store is doing the same thing?
Well, so I want to be real clear. I never, whatever I'm feeling, I never let that show. Because part of my deal is more important than what I'm feeling. I'm never going to make a person feel bad for being polite to me.
So you don't walk out with your middle fingers in the air?
No, I don't know. I don't.
That was a joke.
I know that, but this is important to me because I never want them to even think I feel anything other than perfectly delighted that they asked, because that's important to me. Because, and not just because like, oh, I'm a pastor, but because like I realize that like there's no reason that anyone should have to deal with my own neuroses, right? Like they shouldn't have to carry the things about me that are a bit messed up. And so whatever that makes me feel, like that never comes out, because that's important to me. I don't want them to feel bad that they're a better person than I am. And so, but I do think about that, because I do think about like, just because the immediate feeling is resentment. And there's a whole, like, I think I know some of why I am the way I am. I want them to have a good experience talking to me. And so it's been really, really difficult. It's still really difficult not to be pleasant, but it's still really difficult not to just give like the one words, like, I'm fine.
Lynne, do you recognize, I can ask you too, but Lynne's easier to turn to. You recognize what he just did? He just shared. He was just open.
Because I came into a space with people that I have acknowledged,
yeah, but you
have the right to ask me things.
Yeah, but you pretty much said, do you even know me? Like, I'm that person, but you just opened up.
Right, because I'm in a room with, I'm in a place doing a thing that I've said I'm willing to share here, and with people that are people with whom I'm willing to share certain things. Listen, I'm really, I know, like Enneagram 5, I am extremely compartmentalized. Like, it's actually, one of the things that's hard for me, and it's always been hard, and I've really tried to get better at it, is it's hard for me to talk to Laura about work. Because in my mind, work is over here, and I don't want to bring that into my family. Like, like, family is family, and work is over here. And it took me a long time, and I'm still not very good at it. It took me a long time to be like, oh, she feels like I'm not letting her into something that is important to her. But that was really hard for me because I'm here all day, but then Laura's like, well, tell me how your day went. And I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you about. And it was really hard because I'm so compartmentalized in terms of what and who and everyone and everything is in a box for me. And that's, I don't know. That's how I keep myself safe.
Are there holes for Joey to breathe in his box?
Seacoast, I'll say, and I've done a lot of talking, so I want to stop talking after this. Seacoast has actually been really helpful for me in this because you can't work at Seacoast and have a distinction between coworker and friend. And that's one of the things that's really helpful for me is like if I just worked at a 9 to 5 where it's like I go make a paycheck, those people are my coworkers and I can successfully like kind of wall them off into that thing. You can't do that here. Like, one of the things Dolores has said to me is like, oh, I wish you had more friends. I'm like, what are you talking about? I spend like all day with friends. And I mean that. It's like the people I work with are my friends. And so for me, like Seacoast has been so helpful it's like I can't compartmentalize to an extent that would be really unhealthy. Because I can't just be like, all right, you guys are coworkers, but that's all you are. Like, you can't do that at a place like this. And I think it's really helpful for me.
You just told me that
Did you see me look at you?
Well, no, I said I work with friends, but I didn't specify.
Whatever.
I heard it, Joey.
Thank you. Here's what this is interesting to me. I was, first of all, listening intently to what you were saying, and I was not expecting to go here, but I feel... And this could sound like bragging, but I'm with friends, and I know other people are listening, but you guys know my heart. I feel like I almost have, I'll say first, a calling, and then I'll be audacious and say maybe even an anointing. I don't know when it comes to interactions with strangers. And so I don't know if what you're saying, it sounds like you're saying this is a fault of mine when it comes to a stranger asking me how. I don't know if you would land there, because I also think you're making some good points as far as why would a stranger ask you that. But I think of how Jesus would be on this earth in every single interaction. I think it would be a meaningful interaction. So if I didn't know you, and I was working at Harris Teeter and you were getting your groceries, I would probably be that annoying person who's just like, hey man, how's it going? Sort of thing. Do you see it as as a flaw? Because I don't necessarily,
in me?
Yeah, because I don't necessarily see it as a flaw. I think you're making good points.
So because I think I know where it comes from, I would say it's less a flaw and more a part of me that's a little bit broken. Right? And that's, just kind of healed in a way that makes it stiff. So like a few years ago, Laura and I were talking about my oldest Jack. And like he's very sweet. He is so sincere. He's a very open person. And I made the comment, I was like I used to be like that. And Laura just kind of looked at me and she's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you were the least sincere person I know. And what she meant was like in a like sarcastic way, which I am sarcastic. And initially I was really mad, but I was really mad in the sense that like when your wife is right about something, mad. But I thought like, why am I that way? And it's like I was the same as Jack was. And I don't know if it's different now, but when I was growing up, being a little boy like that was not rewarded. And so I learned to shut that off real fast. And so, so it's less, I don't know if it's like a character flaw, because I didn't always have it. I think it's more it's a learned behavior that I'm trying to get better at. But there's also differences. Like there are people who will come up and talk to me that I can sense, oh, this is a person I'd be willing to talk to. And, you don't always get that sense from everybody, because sometimes people are just, like a cashier who's trying to get through the day and just, they have to say, how are you to every single person. Like I was that person for years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, to everybody who walks through the doors of Seacoast Church, when a greeter or a pastor says, hey, how are you doing? We are genuinely wanting to know
That's true.
how you're doing and how we can pray for you. Don't be like Jack and just say, oh, I'm fine. Be honest.
I am honest. I'm just selectively honest.
Selectively honest.
Don't be selectively honest. Be genuinely honest.
Well, we'll wrap this up, but it'll take a little bit of time. I want to. Lynne and I did this a little bit on a previous episode, but we don't talk about the podcast much on the podcast, like as far as assessing and explaining why we're doing what we're doing. But I thought, if this podcast could do one thing, I would be so happy. And it's just helping people think a little bit differently than how culture is trying to teach people to think. So we've let some content slide into the airwaves that is not necessarily, it's for sure not how Seacoast would posture itself in general ministries. But this podcast is for hearing other voices. And so there's been some perspectives and opinions shared recently that could be polarizing and divisive, but that's their take. That is their opinions. And that doesn't represent Seacoast necessarily, but I would encourage listeners to even try to go deeper in not just being resentful and irritated by something they hear, but try to think a little bit deeper. Like, why is that person thinking that way? And how did that person arrive at that place? And, oh yeah, that's still a child of God, created in God's image, that has value that you can still love and celebrate things about. And so I thought of this sort of polarization in society, and I'll share this example, and part of the reason why is because I am forecasting that we're going to have a episode with a cop, because I've got some cop questions that I've been building up. But here's an example of the sort of thinking that I think we've fallen into, and I'll get y'all's opinion on this. But when it comes to police officers, you've got a group of people that says, and I've literally asked someone, wait, do you mean all? And they're like, yes, absolutely. Cops and the police department, evil, all of them, all cops, all police departments. And I thought about those sorts of people. The fact is that this is probably a stretch, but they've maybe seen on the news 250 stories of bad cops. That's a lot. That is a lot. But there's about 750,000 police officers. So I would want to ask these people, can you please tell me if you truly think that at least not half of the guys and women who are doing their jobs is because they have a love for their calling and protecting people? Like, wouldn't you think out of 750,000? So I cannot believe we've gotten to a place where some people actually think that all cops are bad people. But we are at a place where that is the case. And then group two, you have people that say, well, it's tougher than we could imagine being a cop. It's tough. We can't, we're not in their shoes. And I get that, but I think there's a lot of atrocious mistakes by cops that are clearly not just having a tough job. And I feel like some people will say, well, we just can't imagine what it's like being a cop. There's so much pressure, and, he made a mistake or she made a mistake. And I think that that's a cop-out. No pun intended. I didn't even mean that one. But anyway, do you guys, have y'all heard there's people that think that all cops are just completely bad? And have you also heard of people that want to just make an excuse for every single thing? I mean, are y'all hearing me on this?
Yes.
Does it bother you?
It does bother me. I think that is where we are in our society with a lot of things. People are like extreme on one side, extreme on the other. I don't think most people are extreme, but I've seen that. I mean, I think we've all seen it throughout our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, there's no 100% good anybody at anything. Like, they're bad pastors, they're bad cops, they're bad judges,
Amen.
they just are.
That's a sincere amen. That's a very good
Right,
thing for
like-
people to know and remember.
I have friends who are cops, and they are amazing people. Like, stop on the side of the road to help you fix a flat tire, taking homeless people sandwiches, like, great people. The problem is that we don't highlight the everyday good that cops do, because that nobody cares. Nobody cares that a cop gives a homeless person a sandwich. We highlight the things that get clicks. At the same time, anytime a person is wrongfully killed by a cop is one too many times. And like, the fine line on what we report is just messy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, here's one of the reasons why I want to bring a cop in here, and I'll get y'all's opinion on what y'all think would have happened. I don't remember if I shared this story on here or not, but I was a chaperone in New York City for my son's. They got to play at Carnegie Hall. He goes to School of the Arts, so their music department is top notch, and he had that opportunity. Well, we're walking, in the city. And the group of kids that I was responsible for, I was watching them, but they were walking a little fast, and so I had to catch up. And so I started walking super fast. Well, there was a guy, probably in his early 20s, who heard my footsteps, turned around, saw me walking fast, and it freaked him out. And he was on some major drugs. And literally for about a minute, he is yelling obscenities like right in my face, like, why are you walking up on me, cussing me out, and I'm going to do this to you and all this stuff. And I was like, just going to ignore. Not, if I confront in any way, it's just going to escalate. So I just kept walking. And finally, I was just like, I have to do something, because it's causing a scene. The kids are nervous and everything. So I just turned to him and said, listen, I wasn't walking up on you. Those kids up there I'm responsible for. And finally, he got the message. But, at one point, he walked away and then came back and started doing the same thing. My question is, if he would have assaulted me, hit me in the face or tried to grab my neck or whatever, my reaction would have been to take him on the ground, because he was a lot younger and a lot smaller than me. And even if it could possibly accidentally hurt him by taking him down, keeping him on the ground until police officers came. And my question, and you guys may know factually the answer to this, but I want to get a cop's insight on this, and then a few other things that I've built up over the years that I'd like to ask a police officer. So if you're a police officer listening and you'd like to come on here, reach out to me. But could I get in big trouble if somebody assaulted me and my decision was, I'm going to take them down on the ground and inflict force on them to keep them on the ground until a cop came? Like, do y'all think that I could get in big trouble? And when there's tons of eyewitnesses.
Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm really glad it didn't come to that, because given how much you struggled playing basketball
That's what I was like.
with young people, I don't think you could have taken this guy down. Maybe you could have fallen and taken him down
Whatever,
that
man.
way.
You don't know about man strength. I would have paid for it the next day, but I would have been fine.
You're relying purely on your adrenaline to save you.
Do y'all know what would have happened? Do y'all have any guesses?
I don't know what would have happened. I mean, you have the right to defend yourself. What that looks like when you're holding because you let him up, he could still continue to attack you. So you're running the risk of, is this altercation over? You want to call the police. I just don't know what the laws are, and whatever the laws are, it's how it's interpreted. So,
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
No. All right. No guesses. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to close with some, and this is just the perks of being able to bring the content to the podcast. I saw this and I just thought it was the funniest thing ever. Are you familiar? Everybody's familiar with Chuck Norris?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Norris jokes?
Yeah.
Y'all, these had
I remember
me...
2010.
What's that?
I said, I remember 2010.
I think it's 2005. But y'all, it's been a while since I have like belly laughed and it wasn't in the company of others. I'm going to give this a shot and let you guys hear these Chuck Norris jokes. These are just the greatest. When the police stop Chuck Norris, they show him their license and registration. The future sometimes wonders what Chuck Norris has in store for it.
Why did we think these were funny back then?
Because
they were new.
Great.
They were new.
When Chuck Norris logs into a site, the site accepts his cookies. Chuck Norris and Superman got in a fight. The loser had to wear his underwear on the outside of his pants. Chuck Norris was bit one time by a cobra, and after 4 days of agonizing pain, the cobra died.
Yeah.
I think all the fuzz and noise about Mr. Norris is bull blank. If he's really that powerful, he should appear right now and beat the crap out of, and then it's MEQ2, just a bunch of letters like Chuck Norris is there beating the guy up. Chuck Norris never suffered a heart attack. His heart would not be foolish enough to attack him. Chuck Norris.
Wait. Norris, I have to ask, did you just discover these?
I've never heard these. These are all like known.
I wasn't joking about the 2010 thing.
I've heard of Chuck Norris jokes. I just haven't heard these.
Right. Oh, yes. You know, I'm going to look up when that book came out. Because it was a popular meme and then it was a book.
The Gen Zers are dying now. Actually, they're not listening.
Are they? They probably don't even know.
I was going to say, you got to tell them who Chuck Norris is.
Chuck knows Victoria's Secret. Y'all have heard that one?
Yeah.
Go sit around campfires and tell Chuck Norris stories. You've heard that one? All right, here's Chuck Norris's favorite. So Chuck Norris's favorite one. This is his favorite. They wanted to put Chuck Norris's face on Mount Rushmore, but the granite wasn't hard enough for his beard.
So I remember, because I worked at Barnes & Noble for a decade, I remember when this book came, like when all these jokes were collected in the book that came out. That book came out in 2007. It has almost been 20 years.
Well, hey, those were new to me.
I think that the next generation's not even going to get why that would be funny because they
don't know Chuck Norris is.
They haven't been watching Chuck Norris films.
No.
Wow.
To all of our amazing listeners, we're sorry. We are so sorry that we just made you listen to 32,000 Chuck Norris jokes that were outdated 20 years ago. And to all of our fellow listeners in the great city of Mount Pleasant, I just want to say that you were right. I will humble myself and say that my Owala is absolutely amazing. My water intake has gone up 85%. And due to my amazing uncloud shoes, my back problems are getting better. So thank you so much for your recommendations. We love you.
Amazing. And hey, like the humor conversation came all the way back around because I said the stuff I found funny 20 years ago, I might not find funny now.
And here we are.
He's just now
finding it.
Oh, I was dying.
You've been listening to Seacoast Church's Things You Won't Hear on Sunday podcast. We are now on Instagram. Go to instagram.com/SeacoastPod for your one-stop shop to interact with this podcast and chime into the conversation. You can also be a patron of the podcast and receive exclusive content and live feeds of our recordings. All of your support goes towards Seacoast ministry efforts and local presence. All of this information is in the show notes. Thanks for listening.